Let's dive right into this explainer and trace the tragic domino effect that actually sparked World War II. By 1918, World War I finally ended, leaving over 16 million dead. Entire ancient empires just crumbled. The world desperately wanted peace, right? But instead, dark seeds of hatred and revenge were rapidly growing. The Allies drafted the Treaty of Versailles, stripping away massive chunks of German territory and crippling their military. But the biggest blow? Article 231. It literally forced Germany to take absolute, agonizing blame for everything.
Add in billions in forced reparations, and you get a total collapse of the fragile German economy.
To cope, the government just printed massive amounts of cash. This sparked catastrophic hyperinflation by 1923. Life savings vanished overnight. Families literally burned piles of worthless cash just to keep warm. Crazy, right? Right in the middle of this despair, a failed artist and former WWII messenger named Adolf Hitler stepped up. He transformed his fringe group into the Nazi Party. His emotional speeches promised absolute national revival. He relentlessly blamed communists, politicians, and Jewish people, spreading completely baseless, hateful conspiracy theories to a desperate crowd. After a totally failed government overthrow in 1923, Hitler went to jail and wrote his dark ideological blueprint. His book, Mein Kampf, aggressively demanded European expansion and pushed wildly racist ideas, setting up horrific future crimes. Most people kind of ignored him until the 1929 stock market crash totally wrecked Germany's fragile recovery. Facing absolute ruin again, desperate voters totally abandoned traditional politicians and suddenly flocked toward extremist solutions. By January 1933, the president actually appointed Hitler as chancellor, mistakenly thinking they could easily control him. Yeah, they were completely wrong. Within months, Hitler totally crushed Germany's democracy, seizing absolute, unchecked power. So, wrapping up, how easily can a desperate society trade its fundamental freedom for the mere illusion of stability? Welcome to this explainer. Let's track the insane 6-year shift from a broken nation to a totalitarian war machine. So, how did a country totally paralyzed by economic ruin trigger a global conflict so unbelievably fast? Oh, from Hitler taking office to invading Poland, that was an incredibly tight, terrifying 6-year window. Just weeks in, Parliament burned down. The regime blamed a communist and basically manufactured a terrifying national crisis. They systematically dismantled democracy. We're talking suspended liberties, banned opposition, and crushed unions to consolidate absolute power. Meanwhile, propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels strictly controlled the media, projecting fake unity and spreading hateful anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Now, Britain and France adopted appeasement. They literally made concessions to avoid conflict while watching Germany secretly rearm. Germany aggressively rebuilt its war machine. Other nations protested this blatant rule-breaking, sure, but took zero military action. Then, in 1936, Hitler boldly sent troops into the demilitarized Rhineland. This massive violation? It went completely unchallenged. During the 1936 Berlin Olympics, the regime faked a peaceful public facade, completely masking its violently tightening internal control. But get this, American track star Jesse Owens totally punctured their racial propaganda by winning 4 gold medals. Soon, Hitler's ambitions expanded beyond Germany, constantly testing exactly how far international appeasement would actually go. Handing over the Sudetenland for a false promise, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain tragically declared, "Peace for our time." The crucial point? Within months, Hitler broke that promise. He occupied Czechoslovakia, and European trust completely collapsed. Next came the shocking Nazi-Soviet pact. The peaceful public agreement actually hid a dark secret, dividing Eastern Europe. With the threat of a two-front war gone, German forces officially crossed the border into Poland. Diplomacy completely collapsed. Appeasement had horribly failed. Britain and France declared war, kicking off the Second World War. So we have to ask, did appeasement prevent war, or just give unchecked power the time to prepare? Welcome to this explainer. Let's dive into the unstoppable domino effect that sparked World War II. See, European leaders totally hoped diplomacy would prevent another global war. Boy, were they wrong. In just one single month, this terrifying chain reaction literally dragged the whole globe into chaos. This rapid escalation was all driven by Blitzkrieg, a devastating lightning-fast warfare strategy unleashed on Poland.
The deadly formula? Warplanes bombed defenses, armored tanks shattered the lines, and motorized infantry swept right through.
Moving way too fast for defenders to even react, this relentless coordination left everyone completely shocked. So Britain and France demanded an immediate withdrawal from Poland, but Hitler just completely ignored their ultimatums. And just 2 days after the initial invasion, boom, a massive global conflict was officially underway. While Polish forces fought so hard in the West, another massive threat secretly approached from the East. Now the real twist? A secret Nazi-Soviet pact actually authorized this dual invasion, completely dooming Poland.
Behind those shifting borders was a grim reality. Millions were suddenly subjected to brutal dual occupations.
These severe restrictions on Jewish communities marked the incredibly horrific, dark beginnings of tragic Holocaust policies. Then a super bizarre contrast emerged. Soldiers just sat in quiet Western trenches while deadly naval combat raged. German U-boats aggressively targeted overseas imports, trying to literally cut off the lifelines keeping Britain alive. Meanwhile, you had a freezing, totally brutal new conflict called the Winter War suddenly erupting further north.
Heavily outnumbered Finns used brilliant winter tactics to expose shocking Soviet military weaknesses to the whole world.
By late 1939, Europe was fundamentally broken, and these fast-moving campaigns had proven just devastatingly effective. So, the crucial question on everyone's mind, was the war actually pausing or just gathering strength? Well, that relative quiet on land was a total deception. It only delayed an even greater storm. Hitler's hungry attention rapidly shifted westward, locking right onto Belgium, the Netherlands, and ultimately France. With Western Europe now completely in the crosshairs, could anyone actually survive this unstoppable lightning war?